Vijay ji.
We are waiting for panelists, na Didi?
Yeah, they're joining the webinar.
Namaste, Didi. Namaste, Supraja Didi.
Namaste, Jyoti ji. Namaste.
Namaste, Archana Didi. Namaste, Shekhar sir. Namaste, Suresh sir.
Namaste, madam.
Namaste, Dr. Shri Vidya ji.
Namaste.
Some panelists are still to join, na Didi?
Ji.
So within a minute, we are going to start our session. So Prajati had joined, na? Yes, yes. Yeah. So Vanchna Didi, I think, can we start now? Thank you, Didi. So I welcome you to all the 9th International Conference on Human Values in Higher Education 2024. So as we all know that we all are working very hard to achieve the sustainable development goals settled by the overall the world view, and based on the, I think, covered the whole scenario from the poverty to the international connectivity. So in this second shift, we are going to discuss, or all we gathered to discuss here, as addressing SDGs as grassroots level. For that, I would like to invite Dr. Supraja ji to take the session. Dr. Supraja ji is AICT Vishwasvaraya Best Teacher Awardee in 2001. She's done her PhD from Anna University. Currently, she is understanding to exploring UHV. UHV coordinator responsibility is also taken by her at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. She has completed the UHV introductory, UHV 2, MDP, LDP, and many more things to cover the things. She's continuously attending the morning sessions conducted by our All India team from 5:30 to 6:30 from last 2 batches, 6 batches and 9 batch. And she's continuously focusing on personal development and exploring the scope for the societal development. So welcome, Dr. Supraja ji. Now, session is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Jyoti ji, for that brief introduction. Namaste, namaste to all. So in today's discussion, we will focus on the need for addressing the SDG from the root for the fulfillment of SDG goals. So today we will carry forward our discussion on this direction, how we're going to fulfill this SDG goal and what is the need. So I would like to set the stage to get a brief outlining on the need for the holistic approach when it comes to the SDG. So for this, we proceed to listen from Dr. Vanchana Singh, the UHV point of view of this SDG. To introduce Dr. Vanchana Singh, she is a member of NCC UHV AICT, and she currently involved in the national-wide activities on UHV, and she involved in teaching learning process in this higher education over more than 18 years. And she's an active member of UHV cell, and volunteered several programs, and she has conducted a lot of ACT workshops for faculty and students. So with this brief introduction, I hand over the session to Vanchana Singh for the UHP point of view. Vanchana Singh, over to you.
Namaste, everyone. So, I'll try to put forth the UHP point of view to all our panelists. So, I hope the slide is clearly visible to all. And over here, we all have gathered together to look at the need for addressing SDGs at the root. Whenever we talk of sustainability means utilizing the resources so that we don't let our upcoming generations compromise in terms of resources, which means we leave sufficient for them so that they don't fall short of any kind. But let's check, are we really doing it? Are we really leaving the right amount of resources for our upcoming generations? And that's a big question. In fact, these sustainable development goals have been adopted by United Nations member states since 2015, and the universal framework is aimed to create a better and more sustainable world by 2030. These sustainable development goals, which are 17 in number, have 169 specific targets that are addressing the social, the economic, and the environmental challenges which are faced across the globe. In fact, we do understand that everyone is looking forward to accomplishment of these sustainable development goals. The issue is a lot of efforts have been taken worldwide to achieve these SDGs. A large number of groups like environmentalists, social workers, researchers, politicians, NGOs, government agencies, all of them are putting some or the other effort in various directions so that everyone talks about sustainability. It's the buzzword. If we go back to the last 4 or 5 decades, we see that there has been an increasing awareness and concern about sustainability. We talk of green chemistry, we talk of green architecture, we talk of building materials to be green, we talk of everything to be green. A large number of protocols have been drafted, action plans have been devised, like Millennium Development Goals, SIG Development Goals, and so on. Now, the big question is, if we look at the current data supports that the efforts are falling short of the targets. For example, if we look at the SDG 1, which talks of no poverty. And what we observe is that 590 million people, as projected, may still live in extreme poverty by 2030. When we talk of zero hunger, the data suggests that with this current rate, 1 out of every 5 children will be stunted in terms of growth. So if we look at the current data shows that the efforts are not in accordance with the kind of impact that we are looking forward to. So the efforts are falling short. We can see at the level of each and every SDG. And the gaps, in fact, tend to increase. The global unemployment rates, the gender disparity, all this we observe, the gaps are growing further. So even though we made a lot of efforts in various directions, what we observe is, this is the SDG report 2024, which says that with less than 1/5 of the targets on track, the world is failing to deliver on the SDG promises. This is the UN report, which one can check back. So there are very marginal impacts. Now, is it not the right time to look at why there are so many gaps? Even though it is a problem, are we really following a solution centric approach? Something which we discussed in the morning session also, in the keynote address also. So, are we really looking at the solution centric approach? Or our approach is very much limited by concentrating only on the problem? So, what do you think? Which approach will be better? Are we really looking at these SDGs and trying to address them at the root? So let's check. Do we need to look at sustainability more fundamentally? That's one big question which we are trying to look through the UHB perspective. So, in order to understand sustainability, let's understand our living as a human being. Because this sustainability is an important question pertinent to my own living as a human being. How do I want to live as a human being? I want to live with continuity of my happiness and prosperity. This sustainability should lead to my continuity of happiness and prosperity, which means we want sustainability of happiness and prosperity for myself as well as the upcoming generations. It's not that I just want my happiness to be there. I want it to be continued one generation after the other. Is it or not? We can just check that. So, this sustainability should ensure that I don't have the feeling of deprivation. I live with the feeling of prosperity. I ensure my happiness every moment and continue it with my upcoming generations. Now, question is, have we really understood the real meaning of happiness? Do we understand what happiness is? Do we understand what prosperity is? Are we discussing it at any forum? Or we have some assumptions related to happiness and prosperity? Do we require some preparation to understand sustainably living as a human being? This is something which we need to look forward to. As discussed in the keynote 2, as a human being, I need to be living with human consciousness. When we say human consciousness, we had this discussion towards the beginning in the keynote lecture that as a human being, I need to ensure all three in my living with the correct priority order, with right understanding at the level of self. When I ensure fulfillment in my relationships, it makes me happy, it makes the other also happy. With right understanding at the level of self, I am able to rightly utilize the physical facility. I understand my need, and with that clarity, I utilize the physical facility, whatever is needed. And this ensures my prosperity as well as the prosperity of this entire nature and existence. Thus, living with human consciousness is helping me to work for a sustainable model. When I understand harmony at each and every level of my living, as a human being, if I look at my complete living, I live as an individual, I live as a member of my family, I live as a part of my society, and I am part of this entire nature and existence. So, through education, when I understand harmony at each and every level of my being and live by it, that is the preparation that I need to understand sustainability fundamentally. Now, the gross misconception that we are facing today is the materialistic perspective, where everything is related to more and more of accumulation. The materialistic perspective, where the focus is entirely on the physical facility that we are deriving from this nature. So the current model is entirely based on this materialistic perspective, where human being is assumed to be a body, and with this assumption that I am just the body, I try to maximize all sorts of sensory pleasures and extreme consumerism. Now, with this extreme consumerism and maximization of more and more of sensory pleasures, I assume my needs to be unlimited. And therefore, with that unlimited material needs, it is not possible to fulfill the needs of everyone with the resources available on the planet. Now, treating this entire nature meant to serve me as a human being, where I am thinking that I am the master. I am just violating the very dynamics, the inherent model of interconnectedness, coexistence, and the dynamic balance which is pertinent within this nature. So, the big question is, if we discard the present model of development, which is entirely based on focusing the physical facility, how else do we live? We don't know. And if we continue it, are we really living at all? So, unsustainability, which we see around us at every nook and corner, is attributed to this unsustainable lifestyle which we have accumulated over years. The unsustainable lifestyle is due to our entirely focused materialistic worldview. Due to this materialistic perspective, we are facing problems everywhere, which includes poverty, hunger, gender inequality, life on land being threatened, life below water being threatened, and so on. Now, these present problems that we observe are mere symptoms. Symptoms which are indicating that as a human being, I'm not living with right understanding. And we are not even talking about it. The prevalent problems can only be solved once we develop a holistic worldview. Through UHV, that's what we are trying to address too. So the above issues are an automatic ill effect of our materialistic perspective. Can we see that? Now, when we try to focus on the solution centric approach, the solution centric approach needs to have a complete overhauling of my worldview, which means shifting from this limited worldview to a holistic worldview, which means shifting or progressing from this materialistic perspective to this human consciousness, where right understanding, relationship, and physical facility, all three become my priority. Living in this bigger circle ensures mutual happiness, mutual prosperity at each and every level of my being. So now I need to check myself as a human being. I need to ask what kind of development, what kind of progress I want for myself, for the mankind, for the human beings. Is this the transformation which I am looking forward to? Am I making the right kind of a program? What do we think? Is this essential or not for each one of us? What is exactly development or progress? Focusing only on physical facility or focusing on all three? So, if I want to work towards addressing these SDGs at the root, I need to make the right kind of a program where I understand myself as a human being. A human being is not just a body. In fact, if we understand ourselves as human being, we can very easily see a human being, a coexistence of these two realities, the consciousness coexisting with the material. It is this consciousness which is seeking this happiness every moment. This happiness is understanding of harmony at each and every level of our living. Prosperity is a feeling of having more than the required physical facility, which can only be ensured by understanding the need. Can I ever get to know how much amount will be there in my cup if the cup doesn't have a bottom? So, this prosperity is the feeling of having more than the required physical facility. When I start living with human consciousness, I start ensuring right understanding in my living, and I ensure justice in relationship, and my participation in the larger order is ensuring that I work for humane society. And that is the role of education. So through UHV, as universal human values, we are trying to inculcate for each one of us these proposals, which one can verify on one's own right. And everyone can take this journey from the materialistic perspective to this humanistic perspective, which is living with human consciousness, where everyone, through the process of education, can ensure this transformation, where everyone can work on oneself and make this shift within oneself. We all look forward to this humane society where these sustainable development goals are addressed at the root. So let's check out through all this discussion that are we really looking forward to addressing these SDGs at the level of root. So with this, I'll try to put forth the UHV perspective for all of you, and maybe with further discussions, we can be able to find some directions, some conclusions for ourselves. So I hope I have put forth my perspective, which I wanted to share with all our panelists over here, and we can take forward the discussions.
Thank you, Dr. Vanchana Singh, for placing this elaborate viewpoint that entitles this holistic view to address this SDG. So very nicely you have presented the viewpoint with lots of effort you have made for this SDG, but the impact was so marginal. The need to look this SDG at the fundamental level, how it is important was nicely placed. So by understanding, one can able to understand the people as well as the planet, which is closely aligned with SDG goals. So thank you, Anjanaji, for taking us the walkthrough of what is the role of education for this human transformation. So now let us have the poll. So I request all the delegates and attendees to answer the poll. What is the primary objective of the Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations in 2015? To achieve technological advancement by 2030, to create a more competitive global economy, to build a better and more sustainable world by 2030, or to promote the national interest over the global cooperation. I hope you all can able to see the poll. By the meantime, to see the results. We have an esteemed panel with us today, consisting of experts from various fields who will share their insights on the current approach for the need of SDGs and the potential benefits of more holistic approach. So now I would like to introduce our esteemed panel members one after another. First, we have a renowned expert, Dr. Srividya Sukumar, a Dean, EDU Gate Global Dubai. She is the educationist, government advisor, and quality assurance expert, and she's a director of corporate affairs and advisory director for Mirashi, and also director for sustainability. And she also contributed in COP 28. Welcome, Dr. Srividya Sukumar.
Thank you, Dr. Shubhra, and that was a very sweet and short introduction. And I really thank all the eminent speakers uh, who have joined us on this session. And this SDG, the topic that we are discussing today has been always very close to our hearts ever since after COVID.
Thank you.
So, COVID has been, though it has created a wave among us about the awareness and about knowledge sharing and working together. I think it has been a blessing in disguise, and we all should be very thankful to COVID for that. Why? Because all these online sessions and all these campaigns have started more rigorously only after the COVID pandemic, when when we were exposed ourselves for the online sessions or the hybrid sessions that we're talking about. So thanks for that. So this
Welcome.
topic,
Welcome,
yes,
Dr. Srividya. Let me introduce all the panelists and then we can move on to the panel discussion. Is that fine, Dr. Srividya?
yeah, fine, sure.
Thank you. So next we have our Dr. Suresh Dimani, a principal from D.Y. Patil Pratishthan College of Engineering, Kolhapur, Maharashtra. And he's an outstanding leader in higher education. And he has received so many awards, Aryabhatta Award from ARAI and Best Principal Award from the London School of Business, Digital Business. And he is guiding many doctoral theses as well as masters. Welcome, Dr. Suresh Mane. Namaste. And next we have our another esteemed panelist, Dr. Shekhar Babu. He's a principal from Siddhartha Institute of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad. He's been serving as a noblest of his profession over 25 years, and he has proven himself as a special leader by equating the actions and integrity. And he has a sense of commitment and grown academically, mentally, and holistically. Welcome, Dr. Shekhar Babu. Namaste.
Thank you, madam. Namaste.
And we have in our panel Dr. Vanchna Singh. Namaste, Vanchna Singh. So thank you all for joining with us today. So I am awaiting to hear from all of you your insights and perspective on this important discussion. So before we start up with the panel discussion, let me end the poll and we can share the results. So
Yes, 100%.
So 100%, yeah. So all of us can able to see, the primary objective of Sustainable Development Goals adopting by United Nations in 2015 is to build a better and more sustainable world by 2030. So all of us can able to see this naturally. Thank you all for voting for this poll. I also invite Ishraji, one of another panelist. Ishraji is a core volunteer in UHV, and she has worked as a director, and she has experience of more than 20 years. Welcome, Ishraji.
Thank you, Shubhra.
Yeah. So let us begin our panel discussion with the question to Dr. Suresh Dimane. Dr. Suresh, what do you think how the change of worldview can address the SDG at the root? Can you give a few examples for this, how the change in the worldview can address the SDG at the root level?
Good morning, madam. Actually, it's a pleasure to be interacting in this August forum. As my understanding goes, this UHV started few years back, and this SDGs were introduced in the year 2015. And prior to that, we had Millennium, as Madam Vanchana was telling, we had Millennium Development Goals. And 2015, this 193 countries, they joined hands and they came out with this 17 SDGs and 169 targets, so that by the year 2030, we are more sustainable planet. And the five guiding pillars for this is, as you rightly, Dr. Supraja told, people and planet. And to add to that, you require peace, you require prosperity, as well as you require partnerships. So I think we are on the track. I see you, madam, was speaking about statistics. There are statistics saying that 17, we are on 17% are on track, and 17% are off track also. And India ranks around 108 out of the 162 countries as far as attainment of this SDGs is concerned. But I feel somewhere it is again, Madam was telling that things have to be absolute. You cannot be, it cannot be relative. Like I was asking her about relationship or this right understanding. So let us go with the understanding that now with a forum like this, we are trying to create a awareness among the stakeholders, be it faculty, students, stating that there is a need and we to address these 17 SDGs, and everybody will slowly work onto that. I, being from the education sector, I'm happy to share that the accreditation bodies in India, like National Accreditation and Assessment Council (NAC) or National Board of Accreditation, or even international global accreditations like ABET, Accreditation Board of Engineering and Technology, they have incorporated these SDGs into their curriculum and into their metrics also. So in case you want to go for accreditation of ABET or NBA, I was just going through the NBA manual for the year 24, what they have launched for autonomous colleges. They have put some three metrics where we should be working towards attainment of this SDGs. So this is a welcome step, and we have a long way to go. I don't say that we have a time frame. We have started with a good note. All the countries have joined hands, and in days to follow, I think we will improve, and we will have a better planet with all the people, intellectuals joining hands, and these kind of forums which are advocating and advancing this knowledge. I'm very optimistic that we have started well, and with the days to follow, we will have a better place to live. And UHV, I would really appreciate that UHV has taken a stand on this, and I think to attain this SDGs, UHV is the bare minimum requirement. We need to understand the values, we need to appreciate the values, and then we need to, as madam was telling, we need to be in harmony with ourselves, with the society, with the family, then ultimately with the nature. If this one thought everybody carries, then definitely this planet will be sustainable. I only hope that this knowledge has to spread across the people and in a right way, so that everybody, there is a philosophy with this UHP members that you have to put up a proposal and people have to accept it. You can't thrust any idea upon people. So once they understand, realize it, then they'll accept it. As we all see at this point in time, I think 1 o'clock, everybody is awake and we are trying to discuss on this issue. It clearly shows that we are attaching importance to this. And I'm sure in days to follow, all the learned panel members are doing contributing their role. I have seen, I was just talking that Srividya, Dr. Srividya, she also heard her speak on IGEN, Indian Green Engineers Forum. So the thought is there, and it is cascading, and over a period of time, I'm sure there will be better days to follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Surashmani ji, for nicely putting forward that SDGs importance are seen in the education, and every curriculum are trying to impart that SDG as a part. And as you rightly mentioned, the better relationship with the people and with the planet to be understood. And this knowledge of right understanding should reach to all the people. So that is all what we are trying. So I take the same question to another panelist, Dr. Srividya Sukumar. What do you think about concerning this worldview, how this worldview can address the SDG at the root? What is your perspective, Dr. Srividya?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Supraja. As I take the words from Dr. Suresh as well, there is a beautiful Upanishad saying, which I think every one of us will be aware of. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityoma Amritam Gamaya, Om Shanti Shanta Shanti. And the meaning also we know it very well. That is, lead me from unreal to real. That means light from darkness to light. It is not like exactly what we're talking about is from the darkness to light. It's from ignorance to the knowledge. That's what we are trying to do now. And so, like, what is practically possible from that we will absorb from the situation and we will take it forward. And that's what we are doing now. And from death, it's not death to immortality. We need to change it to little better. From our limitations to all liberations. That is, with all the doubts and misfaith and disbelief and mistrust, all these things, fears, and with all these things that we are sailing through, with leaving aside all those limitations, we should liberate ourselves from all these jinx and with all this tantrums and whatever thing that we call from our side. So we should liberate ourselves such that our soul becomes more enlightened to achieve peace from within ourselves, such that we are taking forward to our community. So this is a beautiful saying. Why did I even connect it to SDGs? Because there's one more saying which we can take from our previous, where there is righteousness in the heart. If at all we want to bring a change in the society, it should definitely start from self, from an individual, such that we take it forward to the family, the next family. From the family, we take it to our society. From the society, we take it to the community. From the community, we bring the change in others. It is very beautifully said in another quote, that is, where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. The change that we want to look forward, that will bring that will become our character. And it's again said that when there is beauty in the character, there is always harmony in the home, such that I live with my people and my people also accept me and they also take it forward. And when there is harmony at the home, there is order in the nation. Our society will be more peaceful and everybody will be accepting, everybody will be working together in collaboration. And when there is order in the nation, there will be always peace in the world. On that note, I would like to really take up on one more quote, that is, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a character. Sow a character such that you reap a destiny. So the thought that we are sowing in today, that should become our habit. Our habit will become our character will become our dream will become our destiny. So on that note, today we are talking about SDGs with UH values. And such a beautiful topic with all these quotes. What is thing is that if we want to bring a change in the society, that should start from within ourselves first, and such that we should become a valuable person in the society, and we will be able to contribute much as such. So it's SDG is not something that we are talking very big or something out of the world or something which we need to integrate, we need to imbibe or whatever thing. It has to start from within, so that we will be able to see it, visualize it, live with it, happily evolve with it, such that we will be able to take forward. Because whatever we want to say to the community, people will ask, are you doing it first? If you're doing it, then I will take you as an example. So when we say it to the community, we should say that I am doing it. So better, why I am able to do it, why not you are able to do it? Hope everybody will agree with me. And if I'm allowed to continue, I will continue.
Thank you, Srividya ji. We will get back to you. It's nicely you have stated that how we have to work from unreal to the real, and from the ignorance to the knowledge, as well as from the limitation to the liberation, and how the worldview of material should change to the holistic. That was nicely quoted with many quotes you have, and rightly mentioned it should all start with us. So it can all start with us. So thank you, Srividya. We'll get back to you. Let us hear from some of our panelists with the same question. Before that, I would like to introduce, I would like to welcome Dr. Murli Lal Gar, a Vice Chancellor of C.V. Raman University, Patna, as one of our panelists. Namaste, Murli Lal ji.
Namaste.
He is a esteemed panelist. He is an esteemed person from ASR, scientist. He has joined Anand Agri University, Gujarat, as a professor. and he has voluntarily retired from ICAR and executed more than 30 high impact projects from the Ministry of Agriculture, Environmental, and he also guided more than 25 PhD students in his career. Namaste ji. Welcome.
Namaste. Yeah, I think if you can allow me just 1 minute, I can refine my introduction. It's very. Oh, I am Dr. M.L. Gaur, basically a water resource engineer, hydrologist, and I'm a scientist. I have 40 years experience in the public sector, 25 in Government of India, in many institutions, 15 in the education sector as a professor and as a dean. I'm retired in February, and after that I joined as a vice chancellor. So my subject domain is agriculture, food, forestry, water, hydrology, and rivers. I'm very much thankful for the organizers to give me chance here. I've not listened the question what was placed before because there was some technical hitch. So what to speak, I will be happy to listen that.
Thank you, sir. No issues. We will get back with the discussion. Thank you for joining with us today. So in continue to our discussion, let me hear from Dr. Shekhar Papuji. Do current education system adequately prepare the future generation to address SDG challenges? Or is there any disconnection between the educational priorities and sustainable goal? What do you think, sir?
Yes, certain. Very, very, very brilliant question. And this is need of the hour. And one more suggestion for you. Kindly correct my name. It is not Murali. It is Dr. Murari Lal Gaur. Okay, Murari Murari Lal Gaur. Yeah. I did my PhD from IIT Roorkee 25 years back. Oh, okay. So you have raised a very good question. A couple of just 2 days before, I was in Nalanda University. There was a very grand program where our Honorable Prime Minister wants to create this traditional knowledge. And it was a 75th Foundation Day celebration. I was the chief guest there with some of the authorities from British Columbia and the Vice Chancellor. It was discussed there itself. You know, what is the sustainability in regards to education and the grassroots level? You know, sustainability is only taken as a catchy word. SDG is taken as a catchy word. We have to understand its real process and real meaning. The meaning is that sustainability and SDG based education is the future currency for our human resources. We are producing graduates, postgraduates from the universities, and they are not graduates. They are the coins. They are the currency of our nation. The world requires a new currency that is fulfilled of wisdom, analysis, analytical power, and to detect the problem. To detect the problem. Unless you detect the problem, directly jumping on the solution is not going to serve the globe now more, because technology is so fast. Now the children of 3-4 years age can speak 10 times better than me by using this IT and sensor-based system. So we have to realign our educational system, our study system, our universities into different mode, where there should be a very clear, very attainable blend of traditional knowledge as well as the modern wisdom. Now, I think I should say an example of nature. Let us come to the nature. If there is one tree, how many of we analyze the tree? Tree itself is a very big symbol of the wisdom that is required by the world. Its roots gives you the firmness, how to hold the system so it cannot fall. Its bark gives you the projection to roughness. Whatever situation comes in the life, be brave, don't fall down. And then its branches gives you the symbol of grow, how to grow in different direction, in different way, in a free mode. Similarly, there comes fruits. Fruits are the end product, which are the final outcome from the university system. So my point of view is that we have to realign our whole educational system, our whole SDG goals in a way that the final person or the grassroots or the end pupil will get the benefit. I'm sorry to say, SDGs were initiated, I think, somewhere in 2015. and we have already passed 70% or 60% of that time, but still we have not attained the goals. Goals attained are only 10 to 15%. So we are only talking, nothing is visible. It will be visible only when we change our perception. And such kind of events, my God, very, very good event. It's night time here, and I'm already attending a conference here of Indian Institute of Management Association with Vice Chancellor's Conclave. And same thing is parallelly being discussed in Delhi here. And I could not prevent me to join at late night here. Thanks to organizer, and keep it up. This is the right way we are moving to give a feeling of some change. Change is required. Change is required.
Ji. Thank you so much for sharing your point of view. That world need the people with the wisdom and the realizing of current educational system, bringing our tradition with the modern knowledge. And it means that basically we need to understand the fundamental. So that is more important, and that has come forward in your discussion. And let us hear from, in continuation of this Murariji's discussion, let us hear from our panel member, Shekhar Babuji. Over to you for your perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Supraja Madam. It was a nice listening to all the esteemed panel members on the different aspects of the Sustainable Development Goals. In my perspective, we are progressing in a constructive direction. Of course, many people has rightly pointed with the statistics saying that in certain SDGs are hardly 15 to 20% achieved. But there are certain few more SDGs where we have made a remarkable progress, especially in the health and to some extent in the education field in all those areas. And with the continuous and consistent effort from all the individuals across the globe, I'm sure that by 2030, we'll be able to reach to the at least 80 to 90% of the goals what was set. Here to add about the education system, the universal human values has been added by the AICTE from the past five to 6 years. And as a principal, I do take a couple of classes during the induction programs, especially the induction program designed has made a considerable impact in making the freshers friendly with the environment of the institution, and the incorporation of the UHVs in the induction program made them to realize well about the self, with the family and all. And most of the UHV programs given to the faculty members also, there was a very positive feedback we received, and good number of people has realized why they were not living in harmony either with the family or with the colleagues or with the environment. And the recent changes, if you observe, let us say, for example, most of these goals are interconnected. For example, the renewable energy under SDG 7 can drive the economic growth under SDG 8. So most of these SDGs are interconnected. The development of one particular SDG is responsible for the development of other SDG. And the other things like good health, quality education, gender equality. The subject like gender sensitization has been introduced by the UGC for the past few years as a mandatory subject to all the graduation curriculums. So we are progressing in a constructive direction. Of course, maybe more contribution is required from the top level leadership in strictly implementing these policies, because we always talk about gender equality, but every day in the newspaper we see the gender discrimination and the attacks on the weaker section. We talk about the good education to all the people, but we cannot come out of the capitalization system. Especially education plays a vital role in reaching to promoting all the individuals towards reaching the sustainable development goals. So a good education is very much required, and we are in a constructive direction, but more emphasis is required from the government side with a perfect strategic plan to execute whatever is planned is properly implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shekhar Babu. You have mentioned to reach this SDG by 2030, the education system plays a major role. And thanks for sharing your own experience in the student induction. And also you have placed there is an interconnectedness that with all these SDGs. So now let us hear from another panelist, Dr. Vanchana Singh. Can you elaborate your viewpoint in this discussion, Dr. Vanchana Singh?
So a very nice discussion is going on. As we can see, there are some contrasts which are coming up. So just like Murari Lalji mentioned regarding the approach that we are using, and Shekhar Babuji also mentioned the interconnectedness. Now, whenever we look at the current scenario, whatever is considered as an approach to attain these SDGs is lacking this interconnectedness, and the current educational system fails to address it. So in the current education system, which is lopsided in terms of being skill biased, the concerns are dealt in a very piecemeal kind of an approach. So the holistic approach is missing, that interconnectedness takes a miss. And therefore, even though we take so much efforts, we are not denying the amount of effort that has been taken. Everyone is showing concerns, but just like we can see that a problem cannot be solved topically. So if we want to address these SDGs, and we all can see that education is the route to address this, but the education needs to be humane education which is guided by value education, so that everyone can see that interconnectedness and look forward to a holistic solution. So this solution centric approach requires a complete overhauling of the education system, which the current scenario is not up to the mark. So we see huge gaps in the current scenario where the educational systems are trying to cope up and yet falling short of it. But with the implementation that we are observing, especially AICT taking initiatives, which we have seen, similar to these initiatives are also taken at the school level also. We are seeing that especially we see in Madhya Pradesh, they have adopted UHV to be a course from class 9th to 12th in their excellent schools and CM Rise schools. So all these efforts are now slowly bridging up, so that this shift is going to show the impact on this interconnectedness which is being realized. So from my end, what I want to put is that the piecemeal solution approach needs to be rectified with the right understanding. Otherwise, people will talk of global warming, and while sitting in rooms which are generating huge amount of what we say huge amount of global warming gases. So those approaches will not really work, and that's why the role of the educational systems is immense, and we all look forward to integrating the current educational systems with value based education, so that everyone works towards attainment of these SDGs, addressing these SDGs at the root.
This is very interesting, Dr. Vanchana ji. The approach to SDGs are there, but with the lack of interconnectedness. So the current education, as you mentioned, it's skill-based, and we all want to focus on this value-based skill education. It's what the discussion is upon. And you have placed how the current piecemeal approach leads to the risk. You have taken an example of this global warming. It's quite interesting. So with this lead, I take another question to Dr. Suresh ji. What are the potential risk or drawback you can able to see if you're not addressing the SDGs in the root level? What do you think, Suresh ji?
As other panelists have expressed the concern that now we are more into like materialistic world and skill-based education, and we require value-based education. See, I think all of us are in our 50s, so we have seen this world actually moving. After the 1991 in India, this LPG localized globalization happening. So now it is more of a materialistic world, and people are behind accumulating wealth, possessions. So this has caught up actually in, uh, I think, majority of the population, we can't specify, but majority of the population are not having right understanding about life itself and their role on this planet Earth. Very few intellectuals, they understand we have a finite life, and we are supposed to contribute rather than consume the resources on planet Earth. So it will be actually very disastrous if this is not made known to one and all. And rightly said, education plays a big role, and it is just trickling down. But I'd like to just inform that our Honorable Prime Minister and the present government has introduced National Education Policy 2020, and we are working towards that actually. And AICT also has insisted on having this universal human values and student induction programs. And as the other panelists were telling, we have to make it more really enriching experience rather than just for the sake of doing it, for the heck of doing it. So it is a high time that people understand. Otherwise, you can see the geopolitical situation in other countries, and the state of what you call pollution even in India and abroad. Like we are in somewhere, most of the cities, big cities are in danger zone. So considering this, I think it is very important that we lead as a role model. I think Madam was telling, Srividya Madam was telling, we should be role models for others to emulate, basically. I appreciate the thought is on. We are on track. It has to be accelerated. It has to be properly accelerated. Initiatives like this should. It is far. I think you had a conference long back, and now after hibernation, this has come up. So this has to be a regular feature year on year, probably, and more vigorously. More amount of funds need to be given to this. It has to be a priority. It should be on a mission mode. If this country, I think government is doing definitely its efforts to educate and see that we meet the net zero goals. So I think we need to do it, and we are on track.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Suresh. You are reiterating the point that the education is playing a major role. And yeah, these are the initiatives that we all could able to see that it is helping us. Let us get the elaborate viewpoint from another esteemed panelist, Dr. Srividya. What do you think the potential risk or drawback for not addressing this SDGs at root level?
Thank you, Dr. Shubhata. For anything, there is two parts of it, the two sides of the coin. One is a theory aspect of it, one is a practical aspect of it. So, talking about the theory aspect of it, failing to prioritize the SDGs with the universal human values will possess significant risks, which any no man will be able to say. You'll not be an expert at all or whatever thing. It will worsen inequality in living. That is the gap between the rich and the poor that we are trying to bridge will never be matched, and it will be rapidly increasing, where the rich is able to capture the 1% and 2/3 of the new wealth by 2020-30. So that's what is the thing. So our SDG goal of inequality in our sustainability, this can never be bridged between the countries, and the countries to grow potentially will grow, and that will be which will lead to social unrest and political instability through across the globe. This is the first risk that we'll be facing overall among the global level. I'm talking about. I'm going to cascade it from the highest level to the lowest level, like environmental degradation. that's again the biggest challenge, which I think it's one of the goals for 2030. It's not, I think, it's definitely one of the goals for 2030, but still, what we will be able to see is that only about 99% of the urban areas will be able to breathe pure. And remaining that 1% will always remain polluted, and that will not never be matched at all. And also the climatic change, biodiversity loss, pollution, all these hazards will just continue and it just goes on. And as this goes on, parallelly, another threat which is going to really grip all of us will be economic instability across the globe. So ignoring environmental social governance practices can lead to financial risk, including loss of assets, supply chain disruption, political fines, and etc., etc., etc. That and so what will happen? Definitely, we will not be able to follow net zero policies with all the government and non-compliance standards and sustainability standards which are involved therein. So what will happen? As a result, humanitarian crisis will follow. This will weaken the global cooperation, and definitely what we will be taking forward to our future generation will be a compromised globe, which will say that, okay, fine, this is what we have to survive with that. So this is what theoretical, statistical point of view that we are saying. Coming to the theoretical, practical analysis of exactly what we are today, what is the solution? So, what are if these are the big alarms or the threats that we are going to do, how we can relate the UHV to the classroom situation is that the future of the civilization is built in the walls of the classroom. That's the pre-note. Now, as on present, the future of the civilization is not built in the walls of the classroom. That means education doesn't confine to the four walls of the classroom. Each and every single life experience should be a learning experience for the learner, such that they learn and they grow, they evolve, they relate, they are able to evolve from the situation, from the life experiences, and they imbibe it not as a study from the books or the classroom situation or from the monitors or the PowerPoint presentations or the examination question paper. It's going to be a life experience such that they enjoy it, they see it as a self, they respect it such that they also value the nature and theoretical aspect of it, such that each and every one of the society member will be able to contribute to it. And coming to the practical classroom situation, when we talk about UHGs, why not we think about integrating this UHP value to the topic of the lesson that is being taught in the classroom situation. Anyway, teachers are making lesson plan. So with the lesson plan, there should be one column saying that this topic of the lesson is relating to this UHV values of exactly what we are talking about. So when we try to do it, definitely that will be, I think it will be measurable. It will move like a smart board. It will be smart, it will be timed, it will be achievable, and also we'll be able to move further. This is what I feel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Srividya. It's nice to hear that the gap we are trying to bridge is it's increasing, that we are all witnessing that in spite of so much effort we put in, the impact is so marginal and the gap is increasing. Like you pointed, gender equality, all these, it's keep increasing. And how we can connect this UHV values with our own classes, that comes as a nice idea, which we want to take it forward. So let us also hear from the other panelist, Dr. Shekhar Babuji. What do you think about this risk of not addressing this SDG?
Well, the risk is very high because just to give you in a nutshell, the recent past we have been seeing the many world wars between a few countries. I'm not naming the name of the countries but it is because of lack of understanding with the society, lack of the human values, and with the many misconceptions, the world is leading into a friction. That is one. Second, most of the time we feel that we are not related to all these aspects. But some of these SDGs, if not attended globally, will keep the entire humanity or mankind in a risk. For example, the climatic changes. On an average, the global temperature if it increases beyond 3 degrees, it will adversely affect the ecosystem. And we are seeing how the climatic change can exacerbate storms and disasters. Between 2010 and 2020, the highly vulnerable regions homes approximately 3 to 3.6 billion people experience 15 times higher mortality because of these changes. Similarly, the ocean. The ocean in our planet is our life support and regulates the global climatic system, and it is the world's largest ecosystem. But worryingly, marine population is reaching extreme levels with over 17 million metric tons clogging the ocean in 21 and is expected to double or triple by the year 2040. Not in one or two aspects, the climatic changes, the changes in the ocean ecosystem, they all will be playing a vital role in determining how the mankind is going to be in future, how the seasons will be changing, how the climate will be changing. It's not that of an individual effect or that of pertaining to a single country. Because these SDGs were not properly attended, it will affect the entire mankind. More than that, the health, the poverty, and all also to be addressed at the root level. Why it is happening? Poverty doesn't mean that only the money. It also means the lack of education, lack of food, healthcare, the choice, the dignity, the safety. Everything can be called as a no poverty. No poverty. So to solve or to attend to all these SDGs, the whole world as a unit has to address all these levels with a sustainable plan for the sustainable development of the SDGs. Then only the mankind can progress in a prosperous way.
Thank you, Shekhar Babu. The war, you have mentioned the war is due to the lack of values and lack of understanding. And even you mentioned many few stats of highlighting the risk of not addressing the SDG at the root level and how the future is going to be. Let us ask Murari ji, uh, do you think there have been a worldview changes over the few decades? What was the changes of this?
Your question will be in background, but I have 2-3 points, very strong points and very penetrative points for the policy makers and for the people who are working on this. See, very much told by earlier speaker, we have to understand properly. What to understand? We have to understand the meaning of the words. The policies are being implemented on the basis of the catchy words. I call them catchy words. Sustainable, SDG, and efficient, productive. These are the catchy words, without understanding the inherent meaning of the words. Let me call the names of the ministry. At my time, it used to be the Ministry of Agriculture and Irrigation. Then they changed it Ministry of Irrigation. Then Ministry of Water Resources. Then now Indian government has truly realized the meaning, and they have come. The ministry's name is Jal Shakti Mantralaya. Means, but we took 75 years to realize the meaning of the energy and water. They are connected because water itself is a H2O. Oxygen is energy, hydrogen is water. So this kind of understanding is required at the grassroots level when the policies are made. So likewise, the sustainable development goal, as told, the climate change, 2.5 degree average global temperature. What is the meaning of average 2.5 degree temperature in India or in any part of the world? At every 100 kilometers, there's a drastic change. For some people, 1 degree is more than havoc. For some people, 10 degrees nothing. So we have to come towards a point where importance of real data we are lacking. Data we are very poor. Our data is insufficient, inadequate, and it is not reliable. And data creates the information, and information creates the knowledge, and knowledge creates the wisdom. Our wisdom is still very, very poor because of not our capacity or capability. It is because of poor data. And when wisdom is poor, policies are poor. You do for 100 years, 1,000 years, things will remain same. So my message for the policymaker is to that please search the real data, use the local data for local policies. Don't apply the global data for the local policy and local data for the global policy. We must have a synergy where the grassroots level data, the grassroots level information should be discovered. It should be decoded and it could be made the modern data. Then only the modern technology can be used. I give an example. Ravan was having a Pushpak Viman. It was a driverless vehicle. Already there. Sanjay was having Pixel. He can see hundreds of kilometers. Narada Muni was having a timeless travel. So these sciences were already there in the roots of the traditional wisdoms. We have lost them. Let us revive those kind of wisdoms and integrate them, blend them with the modern wisdom and modern science and technology tools. Then only we can have. And lastly, I can say that interlinkage is very much important, very much told by earlier speaker or earlier expert. See, energy, food, and water, they are very much interlinked. You cannot create one drop of water without a calorie of energy. You cannot create a calorie of water without one drop of water. And you cannot create food without the energy and water. So they are connected. So this nexus is very important to understand that if you regulate one sector, your SDG 6 is working on water. If you regulate the SDG 6, your energy sector will get adversely affected. If you regulate the energy sector, your water sector will be adversely affected. So these kind of interlinkages in the different SDGs must be taken from the deeper point of view. And lastly, public-private partnership is the only answer, where government must go to allocate some of their fund to the private sector and let them compete with the government sector. The output must be quality based. It is not only institution based. I am IIT, I am IIM, so I can do the better research. No, time has gone. Now IIT is declining. Their employment is declining. The person who's sitting in a village, a student who's sitting in a village can perform better than a IIT graduate. But chances are given, platform is given. An institution which is a private institution can perform better, but they are struggling with their other problems. So a government must think over to have a true PPP mode and understand the words of the caution. This is my message from this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Murariji. Understanding is required at the grassroots level, yeah. And the policymakers is to understand the root, the science behind, the tradition behind the science, and the tradition behind the modern technology. So again, you reiterated the point of interconnectedness, which has been discussed amongst our panelists. So let us also hear from our panelist, Dr. Vanchana Singh. Can you elaborate your viewpoint in this discussion, Vanchana?
So regarding the world view, what we observe is that our tendencies to look outwards for solution is not helping us. Just like Murariji also mentioned that there has been a lot of wisdom. Now, what's the point if we are not able to carry it forward? So what is important is to look inwards for solutions. Everything cannot be taken up with a flag of globalization. In fact, local issues need to be addressed locally, empowering the people at the local level. So if we want to address these SDGs without giving clarity of the holistic picture, we will probably never be able to reach up to the impact that we might plan. So whatever data we want to collect, nowadays collecting data would not be an issue. Whosoever wants to collect the data can collect it in a moment. And there is lots and lots of data created. So issue is not with the data, the issue is with the approach. So when we are checking out our approach, and the approach is very much limited, looking outwards for solutions every time without addressing the real issue, we are always missing the real issue. And that's why changing worldview is the necessity. And we have observed over these decades, there has been high degree of sensitization. Everybody is talking of SDGs. Everybody is trying to address them, but we are building structures without looking at the very base of that building, which means we are not addressing things at the root. So, again and again, a child who is 2 years, 3 years old, starting from that, when we are looking at sustainability, then only one is able to develop a lifestyle which is towards sustainability. With extreme consumerism, with extreme materialistic approach, we are raising our generations like that without, we are giving them so much conditioning, right? So, for example, I take a very trivial example. When we used to get pens in our duration, we used to get refills to put into our pens. And nowadays, if you ask someone, there is only a policy of use and throw. You don't get refills for the pen. The shopkeepers also refuse. So the kind of gaps that we are creating because of this extreme consumerism, that needs to be checked at every step. And that is only going to help. So this is how the worldview needs to be this, just like Sri Vidyaji also mentioned, that it has to be integrated at each and every step. So from value education, we have to eventually move to value-based education, which is very much needed. So this is what I want to put from my end.
So very nicely you have mentioned how local issues need to be addressed locally, and approaches are limited only addressing in the outward solution without understanding the root. So thank you, Vanshnaji, for putting your viewpoint. So as a whole, this panel discussion, we have gathered a lot of meaningful points throughout these discussions and different viewpoints, insights, opinions from all the members of the panel about this addressing this SDG from the root level, the need we have been discussed today. I want to open this forum for the questions from the delegates. So now we will open the forum for the questions from the delegates. If any of the delegates ask any questions, you can raise your hands. We can give a mic to you. Any of the delegates have any questions? You can put forward your questions to the panelist. Any questions from the delegates? Or any question among the panelists?
Yes, I let me start.
Yes.
There is a famous saying that too many cooks spoil the food. If you are in a kitchen and there are 12 or 20 cooks there, the food will be spoiled. So I'm talking in a different way. We are talking of these SDGs and everything, change in policy, NEP 2020, do this, do this, do this, read this, read this, read this. No, are we capable? Are we able and capable? What we are talking, integrating many things, many courses, many things, many portfolios, many knowledge, and there are 24 hours only. Duration is fixed, the brain size is fixed. So before making integration or blending, we must give a second thought. What are the slices? Those should be blended at what platform? We should not do the things like one animal is moving in one direction, so thousands will move in that direction. We must have some creativity among us. Let every institute, university, state, region, country, let them decide their own tailor-made solution. What is the size of the problem? First, you measure the size of the problem. Without measurement, you cannot manage. The things that you cannot measure precisely, you can never manage precisely. And measurement is the data. Again, I'm coming. Unless you measure the problem, if you go to the doctor, I'm fever, first he will measure your pulse. So measurement is the first step. So what is the budget? What is the actions towards data? Data is a gold, data is a product now. So my question is that to the panelists that how we can move ahead. So data could be a new era of our education, research and development. Thank you very much.
Dr. Vanshana Singh, you would like to answer the questions from Murari-ji?
Of course, sir. The data is very important. But what is more important is how do we analyze that data? And at the back of it lies the understanding or the perspective that we carry forward. Now, as long as I understand what the reality is, I'm able to relate that data more meaningfully. Else, the same data set, for example, let's look at the global standards of temperatures which we talk about, and we read the emission levels and all that, and we keep projecting some kind of conclusions out of these data that we'll get an ice age after this much time and so on. But we don't see how exponentially these data deviate by little activities. And one of the realistic example we see is that just by little slowing down of human activity in the corona times, we could see remarkable shifts in the temperatures, and the same global warming showed a huge dip. Now, we can just see something which we are evaluating by those computational models, by all those things, have been with a lot of limitations. We put lots of assumptions in the models and then try to predict something, while the actual thing is going on an exponential basis. And that's why, as long as I don't work on myself to live more responsibly, and that requires understanding in my own living, and I means every one of us as a human being, which needs to be through the process of education, because whatever comes through education reaches all, as we can see. So again and again, through this discussion, we are trying to find more and more meaning that we can't solve SDGs just by holding one SDG separately from the other, and we need to address them at the root. That is what we all together are trying to look forward. And what I could make out from all this discussion is that the concerns are very genuine. Every one of us wants to address them. As a human being, we want to live with fulfillment. Everybody else wants to live with fulfillment. The only thing is, if we don't know the way out, for example, if we are standing in a room, but I don't know where the door is, I can keep banging my head here and there. But once I know where the door is, never ever will it happen that I'll bang my head onto the wall. I'll actually find the door and I'll move out. So the same thing is, if I understand the reality, I know what is my role as a human being in this entire nature, in this existence. I understand that and live by it. So living by that is something which will answer these SDGs. So just by little efforts that we take, we are able to get far more impacted results, and the data will accordingly support. That is what I feel.
Yeah, very nicely you told. Just one line I like to add. In today's discussion, prominent peoples were there. One very interesting point came that when the wisdom learning starts, we people think that it starts from the school only, class 1 or nursery up to the doctoral degree. There is another segment of life where nowadays next generation is getting ample wisdom, that is from the date of birth up to the age of 3 or 4. In that period also, nowadays children are getting such a huge knowledge, wisdom and interest and analytical power and data. And even after 60, 70 years, the old people, they are having their own reserved kind of data. So can we link those? This is also wisdom, this is also learning, this is also degree. So how to link these three phases of the knowledge and learnings and wisdom and make a cocktail to offer it to the next generation? This is one important point.
Very precisely, I'll say, sir, that you are one of the policymakers, being VC of a university, you are part of the policy making team. And the role of the policymakers is to shape up things for the upcoming generations. So we hopefully look forward to all the policymakers. And of course, the policymakers are in absolute support. We got immense support. The AICT is there with us. The UGC is there. And everybody is with that clarity. The more clarity one is getting, the more effort one is taking. And we hope.
Madam, just one message I'd like to give to those bodies, AICT and UGC. To be very candid, I'm very candid speaker because I had been in government for 40 years. This is new for corporate sector. Problem is that you come out of the phobia of, well-set organizations, these kind of fabrics. Now newly emerging system, newly emerging public sector organizations, they have some vibrations to do something. Support them, make them use their strength, share the strength, forget the negative points, come add the positive points and work together so that country and world can go ahead in the new education policy. Don't underestimate everybody, don't overestimate everybody. Let all have some plus and minuses. Let us join together, share our resources and do for the common causes. This is a message I like to give for our policymakers at higher level. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I think
Murari.
each panelist should give some concluding remarks to the discussion, right, Supraja ji?
Yes,
We
that's
need to
what
hear
I'm
from
about
others
to say.
also. Ji.
So we would like to hear the concluding remarks from all the panelists, one after another. So Suresh Maneji, your remarks, over to you.
It was a really eye-opening session to listen to various views actually. The panel is like a bouquet of different flowers, we are able to hear out other minds because we being at the helm of affairs, we always tell our point of view only. But today I am happy to hear Dr. Srividya, Dr. Morariji, Dr. Shekhar Babu, Dr. Vachana Madam, and Dr. Supraja. So many things and new people are looking at a different perspective, as Madam also told. We are all trying to, we are now aware that there is a problem. We are trying to resolve the problem, and it should start with us. And we being, I think at some smaller level also, we are doing some managing things, and ESG also came up. So I think the new terminologies are coming up. People are working in this direction. I am very hopeful that this kind of talk should happen at a very more frequent interval, say every 6 months or a year. And over the years, next we will definitely. If you look back, India, you compare 20 years, 50 years, we have grown, and we will continue to grow. So please appreciate this. The target is that 2030 is not just the deadline. We will continue to evolve, and human beings have to evolve and contribute to the society. And I am thankful to AICT, UHV for considering us as a panelist. And I'm very happy that I have learned many things out of this. And in the beginning, only asked a question. Say, Madam told you should be in harmony with yourself, your family, society, and your happiness should be absolute. So I think this is a message I carry. So thank you, and I think tomorrow tomorrow morning we are meeting. We will have more interactions and more learnings out of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh Maneji. So before we go to the next panelist for the concluding remark, I request Ishraji to launch the poll. Yeah, so the poll is here. You can all answer to the poll. According to the text, what fundamental factor is needed to explore sustainability effectively? Maximizing the use of the resources, developing a holistic worldview and understanding of interconnectedness, reducing the global population, enhancing the consumerism to drive economies. So let's get back to getting this concluding remarks from Dr. Srividya. Over to you for the concluding remarks. Srividya, you have to unmute yourself. And due to the time constraint, I request all the panelists to be mindful of timing and make it brief. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Supriya. So we have been successful in implementing these SDGs now. At least the awareness is being created, and we are on the right track. And so with this, I think with a positive note that we will be able to achieve. And taking into examples across the globe, like we have got improved water access to people, provided school supplies. These are the things that has really made a change in the living. So if we move on the right track, and especially empowering women has been taken as a bigger initiative, and also like talking about sustainability in finance and biodiversity and ecosystems, which is creating a beautiful financial landscape for all the countries across the globe, has really helped us by and large and far for the community development, environmental conservation, sustainability development, everything. So if at all we have a dream, it's like changing the dream into reality. So it will come, it will definitely follow through with all these actions and work, etc. And so let's be on the right track. Let's have this knowledge sharing sessions. Let's put forth all our ideas together, collaboratively work together, such that, as I always conclude, coming together is only a beginning, staying together is a process, working together is success. As we all work together, definitely we'll be able to achieve it. So,
Thank you,
thank you.
Srividya. So let's hear from our last panelist, Shekhar Babuji. Over to you for your remarks.
Yeah, thank you, madam. It was one of the most fruitful sessions we attended. There was a good observations by the esteemed panelists. And in fact, no, it has been, the topic has been touched from all the corners. And before concluding, there was a small question raised by Mr. K. Rajesh Babu, one of our delegate. He felt that the thought process is being dictated by extraneous factors, but I think it's better to address to that guy, actually, Mr. Rajesh. Understanding the SDGs and attending to the Universal Human Values lectures have changed the life of many individuals. Generally, people think it is extraneous when people do not learn to live in harmony, especially in self. So what is suggested is, first please try to learn to live in harmony with you, family, society, and environment, and then have a right understanding between the happiness and the prosperity. Then you will realize the real importance of this. There were good number of people individually benefited, and even the society is getting benefited with the implementation of these SDGs for the past 9 years. We are all very optimistic that in the by 2030 the goals have been met. So it's good that you have raised it, but our sincere advice is please try to learn to live in harmony and understand the real difference between being happy and being prosperous. And thank you to all the panelists that we learned a lot from every one of you. Listening to your individual perspectives, definitely the knowledge levels of us will improve and add a lot of value to the topic concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shekhar Babuji. And thanks for addressing the question raised by Rajesh Babuji. I'm sharing the results for the poll, and 100% it's developing a holistic viewpoint and understanding the interconnectedness. So it was nice time with all of you. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all our panelists for their valuable contribution and all your meaningful engagement today. I appreciate all your participation. So thank you so much from my end. Over to you, Jyotiji.
Thank you, Dr. Suprajaji. Am I audible?
Yes, Jyotiji, you're audible.
Thanks a lot to all the delegates. Where this was a very enriching session for all of us. Panelist throws light almost all the aspects, like Professor Srividya focuses on to focus on our darkness, from Astoma, Sadgamaya, and very importantly, she mentioned the theoretical and practical approaches towards the challenges. Thank you, Dr. Srividya ji. Dr. Suresh Maneji also throws the light on the education, and the role of the education is very important for all these things. And he also mentioned that the role of NAC, NBC and understanding and awareness about all these things, because definitely, sir, this is the big pressure on all of us to criteria settled by all these boards. So this is definitely a big issue to be addressed and to be get aware. So this was a very good point raised by you, sir. Dr. Shekhar Babu, sir, thanks a lot for your enriching views. You very broadly mentioned the reasons behind this mini world war we are facing, like um, lack of right understanding. You also mentioned the important topics like gender inequality and interconnectedness. Thank you so much, sir. And I must pay my special thanks to Dr. Murari Lal Gaur, sir. That is very important point you raised, sir, that all the time the funds are provided by the IITs and IIMs. So this is a very big drawback of the present policy makers, because private sector is totally included. When I also search for the applying the funding, that you should be IIT, and if I am going for that Swayam portal, you should be IIT, and so this is a big gap. So there should be definitely a private public partnership is must. And the very important word you throw that the catchy word. This is also very attention keeping idea, because definitely we are just SDGs. Sometimes it becomes fashionable. So we are talking on the SDGs, yeah, sustainability. So sometimes it becomes fashionable. So and definitely the great idea given by you, the tree, the developing and the dimensions and the fruits is also very attentive, sir. So thanks for sharing your valuable views, sir. And definitely, we are looking forward to people like you for to getting the good policies in future. I would like to thank my attention to Dr. Vanchana Singh also. Dr. Vanchana, thank you all. Thanks to your vision for the UHV, basically you have given for the SDGs. How can we address all the 17 SDGs? And from extreme consumerism and extreme materialism should be addressed. So we have to move from value education to value-based education. Means each subject should be based on the values. Each output the outcome should be based on the values. So thanks, Dr. Vanchana. So I would like to thank all the panelists for giving their valuable time, and definitely we will meeting tomorrow for vision to discuss the vision of the SDGs at grassroots level. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. We all are so committed. 3 a.m., close to 3 a.m., and we are all awake and working for that. So, really nice to interact with you all.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
all.
Namaste to all.
Namaste.
So we can just stop the streaming on YouTube. Raghavendra Bhaiya? Anyone from tech team?